Are you tired of the same old sports media? Are you tired of hot takes, arguments, and questions that are just completely off base?
Luckily, we have something for you. Touchdowns and tangents of the people, for the people, by people who care about the culture and all concise commentary.
Any oodles. What's up, good people? Live from Hawthorne, California, it's Touchdowns and Tangents, TDs_tangents on Twitter and Instagram. I'm PT Camarillo, and he is
Kenneth Frank James Berry.
We're your Thursday night spot for NFL takes, topical tangents, and concise commentary for the culture. Got a little bit of a rundown this week, but we don't really need it, so we're going to play through it.
I like how you say that as I'm looking at a whole ass rundown.
Yeah, we pretty much just scrapped it together. But yeah, besides that, Thursday Night Football was actually a good game for the first time this year, at least.
Kirk Cousins set the single-game Falcons record with 509 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and one pick. The game-winning touchdown to a receiver. I forget his first name, but his last name's Hodge. Caught a pass, broke a tackle, spun, and then accelerated to the end zone. Scored on the first drive of overtime, and the Buccaneers never got to actually touch the ball. They lost 36-30 in overtime to the Falcons, who were down by a couple touchdowns in this game. I think it was like 21-7 or something at halftime.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins was really cooking in the first half. He had like 400 yards in the third quarter or some crazy shit.
So, I mean, Kyle Pitts actually did something after having no catches last week. So I will take that as a win. A win is a win. Young Ho Koo, had like 20 points.
Again, he had 20 points on Sunday.
So that's my kicker.
He cooked me in fantasy last week.
Guess what? Kyle Pitts had 15.8 points. 7 catches, 88 yards. I'm proud of that, man.
Not bad. Not bad.
Chris Godwin even gave me 11. I'll take that. It's more than what Davante's giving. Said that. I just went there and said that.
Well, other news.
Everybody's hurt.
Last week, besides that, last week there were some upsets. The Raiders beat the Browns without Davante Adams and Max Crosby.
Almost blew the game, though. They were up big, and they almost blew the game.
Bears beat the Rams. Vikings came back and beat the Packers. Or no, the Vikings held on to their victory, but they were smacking the Panthers early.
The Packers, yeah. And Jordan Love threw like 4 touchdowns, and they came up just short. The Jets lost to the Broncos 10-9, and Aaron Rodgers went off, and
the Lions rolled on Monday night.
Beat the dog shit out the Seahawks. The Seahawks tried to come back, but David Montgomery took a man's soul. He ran him over, stiff-armed him to the ground, and then ran for another 20 yards. It was beautiful. But Jameson Williams caught a 70-yard touchdown pass. Amon-Ra St. Brown took a reverse and threw a touchdown pass to a wide-open Jared Goff, who has scored his first career touchdown ever. And Jared Goff also went 18 for 18 for 294 yards. It would have been an NFL record. That had been 20 completions. But, he set the record. He went perfect for minimum 10. The record was I think 10 or 13, and he got 18. So he literally couldn't have played more perfect. And they had over 100 yards rushing.
At the moment, the only undefeated teams left are the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. Neither has looked perfect, but they don't have a loss on their record.
And Brian Flores is doing wonders with their defense in Minnesota. Be interesting to see, does he get another head coaching shot? At this point, Raiders look like they might have an opening pretty soon.
Sheesh. No more expatriates.
Kind of too late.
College football.
All right. So USC came back against Wisconsin. They were down like 21-10 at halftime. Scored like 28 straight or something like that. 138-21. Their D tackle Bear Alexander is redshirting to the year, and he's going to transfer and leave SC. Also, Rajon Davis, senior linebacker, is going to take his red shirt and come back for a super senior year because they got so many senior linebackers. Eric Gentry's a senior, Arnold senior, and Mason Cobb is a senior. I still don't understand why he's wearing 13. Like, Caleb won a Heisman. Why is Mason Cobb wearing 13? I don't get it. But whatever. Indiana's 5-0. Cignetti pretty much talked his shit at media day. And they're 5-0. UNLV beat the hell out of Fresno State. Scored 59 points against them. I think that's like a rivalry record. Damn near a program record. 59 points. The QB killed it. Colorado beat the hell out of UCF. Didn't see that one coming. Georgia and Alabama had a game for the ages. Milroe was almost perfect throwing the ball. Freshman receiver Ryan Williams put the team on his back and looked like a cross between Randy and Reggie Bush with the stop and start ability. On the go ahead, like I think it was like 75-yard touchdown catch. This man was shitting on this corner for Georgia so bad. Catches the ball, runs, and then dead leg and stops, and then spins and pivots off his dead leg, and then runs like another 40 yards to the end zone. Had the corner and the safety looking stupid. The corner and the safety were right there. They were in perfect position, and then the freshman does some shit that NFL players aren't even doing. Scores a touchdown, and on his eye black it said "kill everybody." If you ever saw the movie The Program, that's where it came from. And then, like, his profile picture was a picture of Michael Vick in the Falcons jersey holding a dog. So, yeah, Ryan Williams is a fucking animal. He reclassified just to come to college. He's supposed to be a senior in high school right now. Shitting on everybody. Jeremiah Smith did the same thing in Ohio State, but what Ryan Williams did was way more impressive. And the crazy thing is he's only 82 overall in NCAA football.
Wow. Kentucky beat Ole Miss in the upset. 12-ranked Ole Miss.
Yep, that's like the highest ranked win in program history, I think, for Kentucky. And Mark Stoops. It's Mark Stoops, right?
I don't know. Arizona.
Who's the other Stoops? Bob Stoops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark.
Arizona beat Utah.
Yeah, Utah pretenders. I already know it. Cam Rising might not even play the rest of the year.
It was nice to have 3 night games, though.
Yeah, Boise State.
Reminded me of how college football used to be.
They should have had Boise State on TV instead of Oregon versus UCLA, but it is what it is. So, all-world running back Ashton Genty had like 260 yards rushing against
Washington State.
Washington State, yeah. They're no longer undefeated. Yeah, he had like a 75-yard touchdown run, then like a 50-yard touchdown run where he just ran through somebody's face. It was highly disrespectful. It's like, damn, bro, we get it. You're the best running back in the country. Through 4 games, he has 846 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns. Haven't even got to his receiving numbers yet because he's kind of killing that too. But he's literally averaging like 10.5 yards a carry. And the only reason why he didn't go off against Portland State, he had 10 carries for 127 yards and no touchdowns. But that's because he only played 2 quarters. They pulled him at halftime.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame beat Louisville in a close one. No thoughts there.
Yeah, Notre Dame has to stay alive and they have to keep winning or else they're not going to make the playoff. It's just plain and simple. UNLV is ranked for the first time ever in the top 25. Oregon is somehow ranked 6th, which is kind of crazy. Penn State's ranked 7th, and they're going to be playing UCLA. That's going to be a bloodbath. 9th ranked Mizzou is playing at Texas A&M. These are morning games. We got Navy and Army, I think, are still both undefeated, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Ohio State's ranked 3rd. Georgia lost, but they're ranked 5th. It's dropped down to 12. Indiana's ranked 23rd after being 5-0. See, Nebraska and Rutgers are going to play, and that's going to be a real good one in the Big Ten because if they only have one loss apiece. Actually, Rutgers might be undefeated. Bama's ranked 1st. They're coming to play Vandy. Clemson's ranked 15th playing FSU, and FSU is trash. SMU, Louisville is going to be a great game because SMU beat the dog shit out of Florida State, and they're in the ACC, and they're paying their own way. I really don't know. I don't understand how the Big 12 didn't take SMU. I don't get it. It's not computing. Boise State plays this week against Utah State at home. Texas State is UTEP is going to be a member of the Mountain West. Texas El Paso. They needed a team. The Mountain West needed a team.
I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're just rambling shit off. First you were talking about last week, then you started going through the top rankings, and then you just ended up on fucking UTEP going to the Pac-12.
No, they're going to the Mountain West.
I mean the Mountain West, whatever.
Yeah, I'm off the fucking games of the week. That was it. Unless you want to talk about Miami and Cal.
You didn't even talk about the ranked game. You didn't even talk about Missouri and Texas and A&M.
I literally said that first.
You didn't talk about it. You just mentioned it. You didn't say anything
because both those
it.
teams are kind of mid right now. And it's an eliminator game. When Mizzou plays Georgia, I think they play them on the. Yeah, when they play Georgia, then I'll have something to say about Mizzou.
You didn't even talk about USC, Minnesota. You didn't even talk about Michigan.
I didn't even get
Washington.
to USC, Minnesota yet.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about UTEP in the middle of whatever you were doing.
Because I just talked about Boise, and I remembered, oh shit, UTEP agreed to become a member of the Mountain West. So now they have all their teams, but they're supposed to be adding more. Texas State, I think, is supposed to stay in the Sun Belt. Arizona, Texas Tech is going to be a real good one because Texas Tech and played last week, but that went down to like the wire. Big 12 was kind of cannibalizing itself, but there's still some good teams left. The SEC, I feel like, is only going to have like 3 teams left who are like undefeated, realistically. I think.
Sure those teams play?
Which teams?
You said Arizona and Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Sure about that?
On Fox at 8 p.m.
Tomorrow? Oh, maybe that's why it's not on here?
I think the rankings on ESPN. Like the schedule and the rankings. So, yeah, Tennessee playing Arkansas could be the game of the week.
Yeah, I guess Google doesn't have that one, but yeah. It's on there. I see it. It's at 8.
Tennessee's ranked 4th. They're going to be playing at Arkansas. These two teams have really great offenses, so this could be like a 52-49 type of game. Or it could be like 28-17 or 28-3. You never know. Somebody might get exposed this game. Taylor Green is definitely needs to come back for another year because he's definitely made strides, especially in this offense, but he definitely needs at least 2 more seasons left in college football to really get to where he could be an impactful passer. But the receivers are there. And yeah, so not Michigan, they're playing Washington, who's kind of reeling off a couple of losses. I think 2 straight losses. Michigan's ranked 10th. And USC is playing at Minnesota, who should have beat Michigan last week, but they got cheated on an onside kick call. And the Big Ten immediately said they're going to make changes to their reviews. But Minnesota's like, well, what good does that fucking do us since you threw a flag and it shouldn't have been a flag? Minnesota's never beaten USC. USC's ranked 11th. Going on the road at Minnesota, a great program, led by PJ Fleck. I think he's one of the all-time leading biggest coaches in school history. And also, James Madison has been beating the shit out of everybody. So y'all really need to watch them at the end of the year. They might somehow sneak into the top 12. Don't ask me how, but I can see it happening. They are 4-0 in the Sun Belt. And that's a team, because I think they went almost undefeated last year. The problem is they don't play nobody. The best team they played was North Carolina, and they beat the shit out of them 70-50. The rest of the way, they don't play nobody worth talking about.
All right. So first up, take your tangent. Davante Adams requested a fucking trade.
Should I start this?
I'm going to just start by saying this. One, Davante owes Deshaun Jackson an apology because he was like, oh, I never said anything bad about
I've
the
never
Raiders
even
at the
talked to
beginning
this
of the
dude
season.
more than twice in my life.
And, yeah, he pretty much called it. Davante, I think, Davante kind of needs some PR right now because I feel like he's not handling the situation right. He went on the Kay Adams show, when he had reportedly the day before requested a trade, and on the Kay Adams show, he said he didn't request a trade. So everything's just all over the place. I mean, allegedly, Antonio Pierce liked a photo that said Davante Adams had played his last down as a Raider. So just a lot of he said, she said bullshit, and ultimately, we kind of knew this was happening because, I mean, like Deshaun called it, and then anytime your relationship's good, you don't have to go on record and say it. Like, people just know it and feel it. So I think we called it out immediately. Like, the fact that Davante has to say this is a red flag. And then, top of that, he allegedly wants to go to the Jets or the Saints to play with his former quarterbacks. Dallas is another team that's been rumored. The Niners are a team that's been rumored. The Bills, Steelers, but ultimately he has a balloon in his contract next year where he goes from like 17 million cap hit to like 47. So that's something to consider. Basically, teams have to rework his deal. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's sad because, you know, we wanted Davante to be a Raider and we wanted it to work. You know, he grew up a Raider fan. He wanted to be closer to home. But at the end of the day, the Raiders weren't winning with him or without him this year. And the fact that they were able to squeeze out a win against the Browns with all those injuries, I think that just gave them extra leverage to just say, you know what, let's just get what we can. Because ultimately, even if Davante was playing, this team's not going anywhere without a quarterback. So, last thing I'll say is it's pretty much a lot like the Clippers with Paul George at this point. Davante Adams, who also went to Fresno State like shortly after Paul George. But yeah, pretty much just talking shit, hogging the ball, and costing a lot of money. So at least the Raiders are smart enough to get in front of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I don't know why people are surprised.
I told y'all this would happen. I said Davante ain't gonna be a Raider more than 3 years. Get inside the organization, realize it's fucking awful, and get out while he still can to go win a ring. Now you gotta ask yourself, well, who's he gonna go to? Well, if the Raiders are smart, they get picks for him, or they trade him for a player like the Broncos and the Redskins did back in the day when they traded Champ Bailey for Clinton Porter straight up. Like, if they're still trying to make the playoffs this year, and think trading Davante is going to help them make the playoffs this year, you're sadly mistaken. Now, if you're just admitting you're going to tank the fucking season,
they're not making the playoffs.
We know that, but they're going to play like they are. So it's like either you trade Davante for somebody just as good and try to get immediate value so you can, make the playoffs, or you trade him for picks. But if they do this shit where they trade to get a guy for a first rounder and then get a second or a fucking fourth back, it's like, what are you doing?
They're not getting the first round. They already said they'll take a second.
And a fourth, though. Like, the Raiders aren't good negotiators. They're really not.
You got to get at least a second, because that's what Stephon Diggs went for, and I think Amari Cooper went for like a 3 and a 5, right?
Yeah.
So you got to get at least that.
Neither of those dudes are on Davante's level.
That's what I'm saying. So you got to get at least that. That's the floor.
My problem is the Raiders have been in this position before. They traded Randy Moss, when they traded Khalil Mack. Hell, technically they traded Derek Carr to the Saints.
This is all different. No, they didn't. They cut him.
Oh, yeah, they cut him. Yeah. I look at it like this, man. The Raiders don't have an identity. They're just holding on to a fucking identity that existed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The fan base...
A myth.
The fan base has more of a commitment to excellence than the actual fucking team does.
More of a spine?
What's that word? Huevos? I'm just saying, it's truly embarrassing to look at this team and the same bullshit happens every year. They come out flat against a terrible team they should beat, and then we really act like the Raiders were better than their record. Like, nobody should have been shocked watching the Panthers game. The same way you should have been shocked when they lost to the Chargers. The Chargers and the Raiders are the perfect litmus test for mid. Whoever wins that game is probably going to be in the playoff picture. Whoever doesn't, probably going to fucking suck. So, when it comes down to it, Davante was never going to retire a Raider. Hell, Max Crosby probably won't retire a Raider. I give it like 1.5 more years. Because you can only take losing for so much. And he's coming up for a new contract in like a year. So, what happens when Max wants to get the fuck out of town? What you going to do then? Because if you're not going to keep the defense together, because you're dismantling the offense, and Colt Miller, by the way, Colt Miller playing like shit all season. And don't give me the excuse, oh, he had the injury. No, he had surgery, and he had more than enough time to recover, and he's given up 6 sacks in 5 games. No, 4 games. He's given up 6 sacks in 4 games, Pete. That's your boy. Colt Miller. He's given up 6 sacks. He has been terrible. So I don't ever want to hear anybody say he's an elite left tackle. Jared Valdir would fucking never give up 6 sacks in 4 games.
I don't think I said he's an elite left tackle. I've literally said he's not an elite left tackle.
Wasn't a good pick. I don't care what
I've literally said that verbatim.
Yeah, but the way he gets gargled every season, Raiders fans are starting to realize it. Like, yeah, you don't have a good football team. You just have guys who either produce or they don't. Say, is Christian Wilkins producing? Well, have they given up a 100-yard rusher this season? You could say defensively, the defense is doing what it's supposed to do. Except the Panthers game. But and then Zamir White's been a total failure. Which, by the way, hey, Zamir White could have easily been Tariq Woolen, just FYI. You reached for Zamir White, a dude who never played a full season in college. Was never a starter. And you reached for him. And said he's Josh Jacobs' replacement. Oh boy, 1 fucking game against the Chiefs, he goes off. And everybody just hopped on that man's sack. Oh, look, he gained a bunch of muscle in the offseason. He looks even buffer than he already is. Can't run zone for more than fucking 2.5 yards a pop.
Crazy how Billy Price never turned into anything.
That was kind of sad. And he had like autoimmune disease too. He had to retire. Felt bad for him. He was like one of the greatest centers in Ohio State history.
Marnell Jones has been out the league 2 years already.
That one actually hurts. The Raiders, can they bring him back? I feel like he got some
Jackson, Kerryon Johnson has been out the league 3 years.
A college coach somewhere, like an assistant. So he's doing his thing. He did his thing while he had it. But yeah, I just look at this Raiders team and I'm like, I'm not surprised by their commitment to utter obsolescence is like, if you could give me the definition of planned obsolescence, I would just show you the Las Vegas Raiders. They're built to fuck up and fail. They're not built to last at all. That's probably the greatest comparison I could, if I could just describe a football team to you using 2 words: Las Vegas Raiders, planned obsolescence. That's
crazy is the Raiders won't even work out Rasheed Green.
Won't even work him out.
Crazy.
And can play. Alec Madison was probably their best free agent signing. He's the only thing keeping their run game alive.
Let's move on. So, some news in Chargers land. The Chargers, one of the Spanos family members, sold their complete stake of the franchise, and the other 4 members of the family sold 1%, so that everyone would have an equal share, pretty much. But yeah, so pretty much the Pistons owner is now a equal part owner in the Chargers. So that's definitely a developing story to keep track on, because people have been trying to get the Spanos family to sell the Chargers for a long time. They've been adamant they're never going to do it. So we'll see what happens. And not just that, but he did this deal on his own, separate from his private equity firm. And allegedly, he's not going to have any rights as far as team owner. Still going to be with the Spanos family. So he's pretty much just a silent partner. But yeah, so the Pistons owner owns a good chunk of the Chargers. So yeah, one more Detroit fucking transplant in LA, unfortunately. Anything you want to add to that? Any take or tangent you want to add to that?
Care so little about the Chargers ownership group.
You should.
You
should care about them.
I don't have to care. I'm not a Chargers fan. You're a season ticket holder. You should care.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. They impact the city of Los Angeles. They're a fabric of where you go to work every day.
Here's the problem, right?
You should care.
Here's the problem, right? They already broke ground on the land in El Segundo. That thing is already open. So the Chargers are already running without the noise of the ownership group. That doesn't even matter at this point. The only thing that matters is that they start winning, because Justin Herbert's out here snapping on the sidelines, throwing shit and breaking shit, screaming and
you could have just said all this without the whole passive aggressive, I don't care about the Chargers owner group. See, you actually had something insightful to say. I don't think
Chargers fans care about the ownership group.
They do.
I think no.
They do. I'm in the Charger groups.
Here's what I'm saying.
Believe me, I'm in the Charger groups.
Here's what I'm saying. I think they don't care for the sheer fact the team's already in LA. They already have roots here. They've already done stuff here. You just want the team to win. You don't give a shit what the ownership group does. You might have you got Hardball.
Yeah, but part of the knock on them has been that they're
not going to leave LA and go back to San Diego.
Part of them, the knock on them has always been that they're cheap and they don't have cash.
They paid Bosa.
So now they have cash.
They paid Mac.
They just got $27 million.
They paid Herbert. That's not cheap.
They didn't pay Mac.
They took on his contract.
But they're cash cheap.
Okay. I agree. But would you say you are more concerned with how the Chargers play on the field than the family spat that was going to always work itself out anyway? Somebody was always going to sell their stake of the team. It wasn't going to stay. This is just a foregone conclusion. My point is, I think real Chargers fans care more about the team on the field and the injuries and all that and what Harbaugh's doing than the ownership.
My point is they let an outsider in, so now the succession plan slowly begins. That's really what it is.
Maybe this was a succession plan.
You let someone else in, and now it's just a matter of time until that whole family is pushed out. I mean, that's just how it works.
Look what happened with Vince McMahon. He stepped down,
totally different,
and then forced his way back in.
Totally different.
Steph was like, "I'm fucking out of here."
It's a totally different structure.
He owned the WWE. And
it's a totally different structure.
No, but I'm saying the politics play out the same. With family-run teams,
it's not.
Nobody in the family owns WWE. It went from being family-owned to him owning it to now Endeavor owning it. And nobody being on the board from the family.
You're missing all the middle part where they were a public company for like 20 years.
Yes. But now nobody in the family.
Totally different structure.
Nobody in the family has any.
Private companies have totally different rights and structures and rules and procedures than public companies.
And what I'm saying is
that are than private companies that are a subsidiary of a 501(c)(3).
Is my
Yeah, it's on again.
Okay, it's on. I agree with that part. I understand those are two different. But here's the thing: wrestling is hotter than it's ever been, and it's more profitable than it's ever been. Do you think people still give a shit if Vince McMahon is involved or not? No, they don't. They care about the product that's on their TV screen, the live events, the merch. They care about that.
It's all connected.
Yes, but the average fan who works every day and saves their money.
No, the fans care, bro. The fans care about
the old school Chargers fans, but
they wouldn't have pushed out fucking Jerry Richardson and fucking Daniel Snyder if fans didn't fucking care.
Yeah, but those fans suffered for a very long time. My point is,
the Chargers have been suffering for a very long time. The crazy thing is, you're literally just arguing with yourself.
No, I'm not.
Like, you literally started this whole thing by saying, I don't care and I have nothing to say, and then you went on a diatribe for 5 minutes and actually said the most insightful shit you said the whole show, and you actually showed that you cared. And now you're just going in circles saying that you don't care.
See, hold on. Let me explain something to you. I could care about nature but not give a fuck if a tree burns down on the other side of the earth, okay? Those two things can happen. If some shit burns down in the rainforest, I'm not over there. But do I care that it happened? Yes. The Chargers are a pivotal part of LA culture now and everything going on. But guess what? Nobody cares about the ownership group like that. They go to games. They want to see the Chargers win.
They do care about the ownership groups. I'm
not saying they don't care at all.
Groups.
They care, but it's not a priority.
They fucking care, bro.
It's not a priority to Chargers fans, bro. It's really not. I'm telling you, it's not.
It is.
They're looking at the Rams winning a Super Bowl, and they're like, shit, how do we get there?
And they know Dean Spanos is not going to get them there. The Spanos family is not going to get them there.
Yeah, but they were going to eventually get pushed out anyway. They've been How long have the Spanos family been arguing, bro? Like 20 years?
I don't know.
And guess what? They didn't have infrastructure in San Diego. That's why they left San Diego.
Yeah.
They're in L.A., where this is like L.A. doesn't play that shit. You can't just remember when Jim Buss was owning the Lakers and running them into the ground? Yeah, he got out the paint quick too. Because business owners in L.A., rich people in L.A. don't play that shit. They don't want you to keep beefing like, hey, sell the team, cash out, liquidate, but you're fucking up the product. Because the point is the fans, fan experience, and the product we're putting on the field, not your dumbass fucking succession storyline plot. That's the point. The average person will agree with that concept, that they don't give a shit about these owners, the family owner of the team. They don't care about none of that shit. Those people are financially well off. They are not hurting for cash. They will be fine.
Bro, there are plenty of Charger fans that fucking care. There are Charger fans that will come back and be Charger fans once Spanos is no longer at the head.
And that's because they live in San Diego?
No, there's other ones that live here too that don't like the Chargers because they left San Diego.
And who do they root for?
They root for either the Rams or the Raiders or Niners. Cowboys.
So then they're not even real Chargers fans.
But they were.
But they're not then. Because I'm a Raiders fan and I've seen every horror, bro. I've seen every horror. I see Mark Davis.
The Raiders have actually made contributions. The Raiders have actually made contributions to NFL history.
Yeah, his daddy, not him.
The Raiders
His
as
daddy,
an organization. The Raiders
daddy, not
as
Mark.
an organization.
Yeah, his daddy, not
The
Mark.
Raiders, and actually Mark has actually made a lot too because guess who
Yes.
brought the fucking Raiders to Vegas? Guess who's making Vegas a
Yes,
fucking
you're
sports
talking
market?
modern era. I'm talking modern era. You're talking about all time, and I'm like, bro, Al Davis been dead for a while.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The Chargers were in the Super Bowl.
The history of the Shield is arguably because of the Raiders.
Okay, that's not the point.
What I'm saying is the Chargers don't have that same kind of history.
Yeah, I know.
The Chargers have a much more negative
Trash.
look at their fucking ownership.
Bummy. Suck
They
ass history.
fucking care about who their owner is, Kenny. They do.
They don't.
I'm in these Facebook groups. They've been talking about it all fucking week, bro. They fucking care.
They're still gonna go to the game and buy shit and watch the product on the field. So,
There's a lot of Charger fans who won't go to games because
hey,
of
bro,
Spanos. I'm
that
telling
shit.
you.
Okay, that's cool, but it still sells out every fucking week.
Not really. On paper, because
Okay.
people bought season tickets and the third party apps buy seats. And
I'm not
away games
arguing
buy.
that at the foundational level, what you're saying isn't true.
All right,
because
then, so then can we
foundationally,
just move on?
it's true. But also, on the same token, yeah, the average working class motherfucker buying tickets, bringing his family to the game. The street vendors don't give a fuck about who owns the Chargers. Ask the street vendors, do they care? They're just happy a team's here so they can make some money.
Fans. So then they're not fans.
Yeah, there's a whole bro. There's people who aren't Clippers fans who love Intuit.
What the fuck are you saying?
What I'm saying is, people they care about sports to the degree that they can make money or that they can have a good time. Not everybody is a purist.
So
You're talking about purist
but the team's
fans.
ownership still impacts.
Those
that.
are purist fans. They
Either
care
way,
about
even
the
even
top down
moving
of
forward.
the organization. There's a lot of people who don't give a shit about the top down of the organization. They're just happy there's a team there, a stadium there, and they can make money off of it. The people who charge for parking, they don't give a shit who's playing. They're just happy they can get some bread.
Okay, but they're not. Those aren't fans.
They're
Those
a
are
fan.
people that don't
they're a
care
fan
about
of.
the
But they're a
NFL.
fan of. They're a fan of the business that's happening. But they don't care who the owner is. I'm telling you, like, it's two different subgroups of a fan base.
But then they're not fans.
You can't tell them that.
You're saying the people that don't care, they're just happy to have a game. That doesn't make you a fan.
And they're
You're
spending
not a fan.
money and they're enjoying
You're not
themselves.
a fan. Are they spending money if they're working at the game?
If you're spending, I mean, some people do both. I said that's two different people. I said there's people who are selling shit at the game, hustling, doing whatever, and then people who
Okay.
go to the games and have a good time.
Okay.
They're
but
eating off the
why are
Chargers.
you bringing the fucking vendors up? What does
Because
that
I'm
vendors
saying
have to do with
there's a
anything? They're
bunch
not
of people.
fans.
There are a bunch of people eating off this team.
Exactly,
But they
and
don't
that's why the
care
ownership
who's
matters.
running it.
That's why the ownership matters
Yes,
because all
you're
that shit
right.
goes through the owners.
But there's a section of fans that don't care about that,
then
and
they're
you
not
have
fans.
to listen to them. Yeah, you do.
They're not fans.
Doesn't matter, but they pay their money means something. Their patronage means something, even if they're not a fan. You still have to respect that. Those people don't care who Dean Spanos is. They don't. They just don't. Sorry. That's how it works.
Yeah, I don't agree.
You understand? It's okay. You don't have to agree. I'm not saying it for you to agree. I'm just saying
I
it's
just think
it's a
you're
point
going
you're gonna
on
have
a
to
diatribe
accept.
right now.
Huh?
You're just going on a diatribe right now.
I'm really not.
You are,
I've
because-
stood on this
because-
point for like 20 minutes. You're the
because-
one who keeps arguing. with me
because
about
you're
it.
just going around in circles talking about
Definitely
people
not.
that aren't fans.
Definitely not. No, I talked about all the people.
It's like you're just bringing up like, oh, there's some people that don't believe the Earth is flat. Like, okay,
that is a total
What does
red
that
herring.
mean?
That has nothing to do with what.
that's
I
what
said.
you're doing. You're bringing
No,
up the
it's
vendors and the ushers and people
you're
that are
making
sitting at the
personal ad
game.
hominem attacks because you're just mad that you
I'm
don't
not
agree
making
with
an
my point.
ad. I'm
You
not
kinda
making
are.
it. How am I making an ad hominem?
You literally
How am I making an ad hominem?
try, but I'm just pulling shit out my ass. I'm really not.
You are. You
really
literally
not.
brought up the ushers,
I'm
bro.
really not.
What
I
are
didn't-
what are
I
what are
didn't
the
say
ushers?
shit about the ushers. I said
You literally did. You literally brought
I
up
said
the
there
ushers,
are people
Kenny.
who go to the game and enjoy themselves,
And you
then
said
there
the
are
people that
vendors.
get parking, the people that take money for parking, those are ushers.
No, they're not. They're people who live down the street.
They're
and-
ushers. What do? They tell you where to park. That's ushering.
Motherfucker, they're
Are
not
you
affiliated
kidding
with
me?
anybody. They're
Are
just
you kidding me?
they're just selling parking spaces by their house. I'm not talking about the companies who actually do that. I'm talking about the random motherfucker who lives in Inglewood and doesn't give a shit about whoever's playing at SoFi because the noise complaints and everything. They're just happy to make some money off what's going on.
Okay, but then they're not fans. If they don't care that the Chargers are playing, they're not a Charger fan.
But they're still making money off the Chargers.
But that doesn't make them a fan.
Okay, that's irrelevant. If they're a fan
but
or
we're
not,
talking about
they're
fans.
they're impacting what the team does.
We're talking
they're
about
impacting
fans.
the support. They're impacting the team and how they make money.
We're talking about fans, and you're talking about the general community.
I'm saying,
we know the general community doesn't care about the Chargers at all. Period.
Thank you.
But that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about Charger fans. I'm talking about these tens of thousands of people in these Facebook
how
groups.
many Chargers fans do you think there are, and are there enough to fuel a whole team with no support from the outside city?
What do you mean?
Can the
team?
Chargers fan base alone keep the Chargers afloat and no help from anybody else?
No.
Okay,
That's why they
then.
don't have a team on their own.
Okay,
That's why they
then.
don't have a stadium on their own.
So my point is, which you just purposely keep fucking bypassing, is that yes, ownership is important, but it will come down to a point where there's just a lot of people who don't care. They just want to make money off of it.
Okay,
they're
but
just happy there's a spectacle.
Okay, but again, you're talking about people. I'm talking about fans.
Hey, man.
This is what I'm saying. You keep going to the broader point. I agree with your broader point.
You need more than just
I'm
fans.
talking about fans.
You need more than just fans to have a successful team.
I'm talking about fans.
You need more than just fans to have a successful team. Yes or no?
That's not what we're talking about.
I literally just gave you the parallel.
So if anything, you're making my point for me.
No,
because you want to have an owner that people care about. Like a la Mark Cuban, a la Steve Ballmer, a la these examples that you brought up.
Bro, I've never cared about the Spanos, but I like the Chargers. Give me a fan. But I also know the importance of a good team owner.
I don't know what the point of that was.
'Cause I'm telling you, bro, like, yes.
You're not a Charger fan. I'm talking about Charger fans.
But the same premise applies across the board. Fans, yes, a fan base can support a team, but the ownership group is like, I need more than just the fan base to support me.
Yes. So if anything, you're making
so they're
my
looking
point
at the
for
city.
me.
They already know they got the fans in their pocket.
You're making my point for me.
No, I'm saying you got to understand the people that don't see themselves as fans but come to games and partake. They're in it for a different reason.
But those aren't fans.
But they're still showing up and spending their money.
That doesn't make you a fan. Yeah, they're consumers.
Okay, then. So who's more important, a consumer or a fan?
You need both. It's an 80-20 rule. That's how it works.
Okay, then. So how do you
20%?
How do you not understand that the
20% of people spend 80% of revenue, and 80% of people spend only 20% of revenue?
The owners are beholden to the consumers, not the fans. That's just a tough pill to swallow. I hate to break it to you.
That's not true. And either way, that's beyond the point. The point is, maybe if they did have a more dynamic owner, people would care.
Maybe if they tried to turn consumers into fans, then it would.
Do you think they're not trying to do that?
This ownership, this ownership fighting has gone. It has now surpassed like 30 years, bro.
Regardless,
this ownership problem is still a problem.
Regardless, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a bigger problem, but it's moving.
They had consumers in San Diego.
Moving in the right direction.
They didn't care about their consumer base in San Diego.
In the right direction.
They did not care about their consumer base or their fans in San Diego.
At the end of the day, the Chargers are what, like 1/20th of the professional teams.
I need you to understand
here in Los Angeles.
The first people to get fucked over are the fans. The last people to get fucked over are the consumers. Because consumers will pull their money out and you won't be able to make money. Then you just have a shitty team with no money.
So what's your point?
No excitement.
What's the point?
What I'm saying is, like, you need to just consider the fact that the fans don't have as much power as you think they do.
They do.
Because they care about the ownership group, but the ownership group don't care about the fans that much, or else the infighting wouldn't be happening.
Well, I think the fans can only do so much. I mean, we've seen it in all these cities that they leave. Like, they don't.
St. Louis still trying to get a city.
They don't leave because they don't have fan support. The fans didn't do anything wrong.
How's St. Louis doing?
But it's also a matter of politics, a matter of infrastructure. All sorts of shit goes into it.
California getting another sports team in the Valkyries. Seattle's like, what the fuck do we have to do? That's a fan base. That's a loyal fan base. But you know what they don't have?
Nobody's really
consumers that can hold the ownership group accountable, so the fans can actually get
worried about the Valkyries.
Yeah, but that's another team in California that and they're probably not even going to play in Oakland. That's the fucked up part. Which, by the way, look at the A's. They fucked that up. Oh my goodness, they fucked that up terribly. Talk about a bad ownership group. That's a bad owner. Like, baseball ownership groups don't get talked. Baseball owners don't get talked down enough, but we kick in NFL owners' backs real hard, which is kind of crazy. For all the shit people say about Jerry Jones, look what he brought to you. Look what he presented.
All right. Doug Pederson rumors saying that he was probably going to get fired in Jacksonville. It's just a matter of time. Take your tangent.
I mean, quarterback's broken. Your O-line sucks. Your defense sucks too. Like, is firing Doug Pederson really going to make Trevor Lawrence a better quarterback? Because Ben Johnson not going to take the job right now.
Well, supposedly they're eyeing Belichick.
But what the fuck Belichick going to do?
Because Belichick
be surly and just yell at Trevor Lawrence?
Belichick is tight with the owner. So
Balky is the GM, right?
No, the owner.
Shad Khan is the owner, I know. But Balky, who worked with the Niners. So Balky and Belichick going to work together? And do what? Trade for Davante Adams?
No, if anything, Belichick's going to take over everything. Is he going to keep
at
Balky?
70 fucking years old? He's going to turn the Jaguars into playoff contenders.
They did it with Coughlin.
He's going to turn the... Bro, Coughlin ain't even liked by a lot of players.
I know, but I'm just saying. You're saying like they wouldn't do it. I'm telling you, they've already done it. He did the same thing with Pederson. Pederson was supposed to save Lawrence. He didn't.
Yeah. You don't fire him in the middle of the season. He ain't Urban Meyer. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. You have to respect him.
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying.
Trevor Lawrence has been playing like shit because he's been playing like shit. And the GM didn't do a good enough job of drafting fucking tackles that could stay healthy and an O-line that could stay healthy. The defense,
I think the other thing,
the Jaguars have a lot of talent and don't do shit with it.
Beyond all that, at the end of the day, even if they were at full strength, they're still a good, not a great team. And honestly, that division has gotten better with Houston.
They're the third worst team in that division.
Yeah, so I mean, what are you really building for?
Texans. No,
what are you really holding on to?
Actually,
I mean, even if it's a toss-up between them and the Colts,
yeah, you can flip that.
It's still not a contender.
The Texans are the only contender in that division.
If you're not a contender, then what are you doing? You're just spinning your wheels.
But you don't fire. You don't create a bigger mess by firing him. You fire him at the end of the season, and you say, "Hey, Ben Johnson, come fix my quarterback."
But that's the thing is those
Ben Johnson in Florida sounds better than Ben Johnson in Vegas.
Those rumors are getting louder. So if you're a Super Bowl winning coach, people are already talking about him losing the locker room. He said he didn't lose the locker room. But if you're a Super Bowl winning coach, people are talking about you losing the locker room. 9 times out of 10, when people are talking about you losing the locker room, you've already lost the locker room.
Well, after that 30-point playoff
are you really
loss,
just going to be going through the motions this next 13 games, or are you going to leave with some dignity? Because he's going to get paid either way. The money's not the issue.
He probably gets fired week 14 if they're still bad.
So
he probably gets fired week 14.
We'll see.
Once they're eliminated from the playoffs, then he gets fired.
I mean, I think the other thing too
you don't fire him right now.
The other thing about doing an interim coach, if you do the interim coach right, is it gives you another fall guy. It gives you a middle person that can kind of be that can start weeding out some of the players. But if you give that person the keys, like a certain other franchise, then yeah, you'll probably just be in the same fucking black hole of mediocrity.
Because Ben Johnson was number one on my list as far as head coach candidates. I have to see what he's doing at Detroit.
Either way, I'm sure Belichick is going to be an advisor. If he's not,
I see Belichick coming to the Raiders before the Jaguars.
No, Khan's his boy, bro. Like, they're boys.
That's cool, but he's not coaching this year. The last time he coached, he was terrible.
Just saying. He said he wants to coach still. Jaguars are going to have an opening. That's his boy. He advised them on one of their coaching hires.
How much longer do you think Belichick is going to coach?
They said he advised them on somebody.
How long do you think Belichick is going to coach?
He dies?
Give me a number of years.
Probably 80.
He's close to 80.
So 10 years, 8 years?
You really think he's going to... First off, he would have to actually stay there for that long. And it's not happening. Why would I have this old-ass coach
Well, these are
who's out of touch with the Patriots?
These are the questions that the Falcons had and why they ultimately didn't hire him for this exact reason. Because not only are you hiring him, but you're hiring all his guys and his handlers and his assistants.
And his ego.
And you're cleaning house.
You're hiring
much.
Belichick's ego.
So, yeah.
I'd rather hire Ben Johnson than just let him build a staff. I'm just saying, like, it's not that hard. If the Lions are turning into Super Bowl contenders, bro, they went through the motions and the growing pains like everybody else. They found the right figurehead. They built around him. They built a staff around him, and then they drafted smartly. And look at the Lions now.
Well, even if
one of
that's
the 5
the case,
best rosters in the league.
Even if that's the case, I don't think that was the Jaguars' plan. I don't think Doug Pederson fits in that mold. And I don't think they're on that same trajectory.
I don't think the Jaguars
to get to that point, yeah, maybe you do, get rid of everyone and hire Ben Johnson. But the reality is they're probably not going to do that. They're going to try to do another quick fix, trying to make a splash, just like they did with Pederson, just like they did with Urban Meyer.
That was terrible. That was not a splash. That was just fucking stupid.
That was a splash, bro. Everyone wanted Urban Meyer to go to the NFL.
Everyone said it was a bad idea.
There's a reason why Urban Meyer was making the circuit every offseason. Urban Meyer services were in demand in the NFL.
And how'd that play out? He didn't make it 7 fucking years.
That's beyond the point.
He brought in Tim Tebow,
That's
bro.
beyond the point. That's beyond the point. The point that I'm making is
and
this ownership has a pattern of behavior.
How old?
They go after the biggest fish that they can possibly get.
No, the
biggest fish now is not only available, but he's also best friends with the fucking owner.
Mike Vrabel is out there. Did you not know that? Mike Vrabel's younger and would actually probably toughen the Jaguars up because he, coached against them for so many years.
Well, yeah, maybe Belichick. Like I said, either way, Belichick.
Maybe bring on Belichick as a defensive coordinator.
Either way, Belichick's going to be a part of the process.
My point is,
if he's not hired or considering the job, he's going to be making the hire. He's going to be consulting.
I'm just saying, look at what Dan Quinn's doing in Washington. He got a bunch of good coaches, and they built up the team they have.
But what I'm saying is that requires a full teardown and an actual plan.
It wasn't a full teardown.
This team is not doing that. This team has shown us that they're not going to
tear
do
down
that.
their roster. They still have their 2 D tackles.
They have one of the 3 D tackles. They have one of the 3 D tackles.
They have 2.
And the other one got better.
They have 2.
With the other one leaving.
They have 2. They have Payne and the other dude.
Yeah, but Payne wasn't good until Sweat left.
Payne was good the entire time. What the fuck are you talking about? Deron Payne?
Yeah, he wasn't as good.
He was never a bust, bro.
I didn't say he was a bust.
Him and Jonathan Allen are like a great pairing from the start. Their run defense, like those 2 always played good. Now, edge rushing is suspect right now, but like that's irrelevant. My point is the Jaguars went young and exciting.
My point is, if you look at that roster, it's 60% different than it was last year. And it's probably another 60% different than what it was the year before. They've had a lot of turnover the last 4 years.
Last 2 years.
Even before that. Even even under
Rivera
Rivera.
The roster was deteriorating under Rivera, but they got Rivera out of there, and Quinn I think was the right guy. Looking at it now, like you see his vision, and they were able to get Jane Daniels, which helps. But the Jaguars were already a playoff team and built and ready to go. They just needed to get away from Urban. The Jaguars usually don't go older with their coaching hires.
Pederson's not young.
Yeah, but Pederson's a seasoned vet who everybody would have been like, of course he's a quarterback guru. Like, why would you not hire him? That was a smart choice to hire Doug Pederson. It just hasn't worked out. But also Trevor Lawrence is a six-pack of ass, and his lead has like 100 turnovers since he came into the league. He leads the league in turnovers since he's come into the league. Like, it's not Travis Etienne who's the blame, or Christian Kirk who made good on what he got paid. Like, Brian Thomas isn't the problem. Evan Ingram's been hurt, but he's not the problem. O-line's a little sus. Defense is definitely sus. But, I think one of their best corners got hurt.
So if you include the rookies, the Commanders roster has 33 new players since last year.
That's cool. I mean, you fired the head coach. You expect that.
But that's what I'm saying. They've had a shit ton of turnovers.
But the players who stayed were always good. Terry McLaurin is an all-pro caliber receiver. You got 2 all-pro caliber D tackles. You signed some good veterans on defense. Forbes is getting his ass whooped, but you got to stick with him because he was your first-round pick. And you got Chase Young and Montez Sweat out of there, which, looking back, that's actually a pretty good job for what they got back. The Jaguars need a young QB-led coach, a guy like a Ben Johnson, and then you could really find anybody to coach your defense. Can't afford to get the head coach-quarterback relationship wrong because you can't afford to start over and trade Trevor Lawrence. You've already paid that man. So I think you would have to look at what Ben Johnson's done with Jared Goff. You can't sit up here and tell me that that's not worthwhile. So, yeah, I'm not really. I mean, I don't see Belichick getting another head coaching job. Honestly, I just don't see it.
If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be in Jacksonville. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Rabel's right there.
And if they don't hire him, they're going to bring him in to advise and consult.
Yeah, I mean,
he'll be
cool.
a part of the process.
He's on TV right now, but like
he'll be a part of the process.
That's cool, but at a certain point, bro, did the game pass Belichick by? Was Brady right?
I don't know about that.
Has the game passed him by?
I don't know
his
about that.
His son was the D coordinator, bro. And now his son's the D coordinator at Washington, and they're getting smoked.
What does that mean?
His coaching tree is kind of ass.
What does that mean?
Belichick's coaching tree is kind of ass.
You were just dick-eating Vrabel.
He's younger.
He's on Belichick's coaching tree.
The
other dude you were dick-eating earlier.
Really. Brian Flores isn't really
on his coaching
Brian
tree
Flores
too.
Isn't really. Yeah, he kind of is, but he's not.
How is he not on the Patriots?
Vrabel's like
tree?
a step outside the coaching tree. He's a former player. But he cut his teeth as a coach other places, bro. You can't credit Bill Belichick for Mike Vrabel. Flores, you can't. I'm sorry. You can't. Even though he's one of the more successful people under his tree. And you could say Flores too. Those are probably the 2 most successful coaches under his tree. Who else came under Belichick that was successful? And I'm not saying Pete Carroll, because they're the same fucking age practically.
Is Pete Carroll under Bill Belichick?
Technically, you see? Yeah.
No, didn't he succeed Pete Carroll?
No, you got to go way back when Pete Carroll was younger, before he became a head coach with the Patriots. Him and Belichick crossed paths before. See? So it's like, bro, you've been around this long. You're literally the old guard. Your way ain't winning Super Bowls. Andy Reid found his lane and worked his magic. Belichick Think about it. Andy Reid won a Super Bowl or got to a Super Bowl with 2 different quarterbacks. Right? He was competitive with more than one quarterback. Belichick always had Brady and an elite defense. So if you're the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence ain't no fucking Tom Brady. The defense could be better. And yeah, you might have Belichick as the figurehead, but that Patriots way bullshit ain't working no more. People will tune him out.
Brian Flores worked for the fucking Patriots for like 8 years, 10 years. He's definitely on Bill Belichick's coaching tree.
I mean, after what he said with the whole Dolphins, I feel like Belichick might have distanced himself, but okay, fine. We'll keep that.
I mean, didn't he go back?
He mentioned some things that Belichick said to him in private.
Wasn't he like a special assistant for them, like that year when he got fired?
He went to the Steelers.
Year?
He went to the Steelers.
No, before that.
I don't think so.
That.
You could check. But
that gap year.
I don't think he was. Might have been like a special analyst or some shit.
Yeah,
somewhere.
he was. He was with them.
For the Patriots? He was like an analyst?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the year they went to the Super Bowl?
21. So no.
All right, then. Just saying, like, yeah, if it was going to happen, it would have happened. That's my point. If Belichick was going to get a job.
Nope. Pederson had them in the playoffs last year. You weren't going to fire Pederson after last year.
I'm not talking about the Jaguars. I'm saying if Belichick was going to get a job, why didn't he get the Chargers job?
Well, because Harbaugh was available, and Harbaugh was a former Charger. And knew the ownership group, which you said doesn't matter.
Belichick has beat the Chargers' ass his whole career.
Okay, but John Harbaugh knew them. They wanted to hire him. They've been trying to hire him for like a decade.
That's a buddy hire then.
That's what I'm saying could happen with the Jaguars and Belichick.
And I'm saying it might, but that's not a good idea.
Okay.
So how about this? So you're going to ruin Trevor Lawrence's prime with Doug Pederson, with Urban Meyer, Doug Pederson, and Bill Belichick. How do you think that's going to play out?
I'm not doing it. I'm not the fucking Jaguars GM or president of football operations.
Because Houston's head coach ain't going nowhere.
Or fucking...
The Colts head coach got some time to figure this out. He's got some time to figure it out. The only team on the hot seat as an organization in the AFC South are the Jaguars. So either you destroy everything and rebuild, but if you're going to make Belichick the figurehead, I don't know, man. You only get so many shots at the apple. I mean, you only get so many shots.
All right, first one. This was a viral one everyone was talking about all week, but Patrick Mahomes threw an interception against the Chargers, went to go make the tackle, and ended up injuring his top receiver, Rashee Rice. Pretty much blew out his knee. I don't know why that's in touchdown and turnover, but
ironic that like he committed a turnover and then created another turnover by injuring his best receiver.
Yep.
Because Rashee Rice is their best receiver. It's not Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. He's looking kind of old in the teeth ever since he stopped fucking black women. I'm just saying. And the whole Taylor Swift storyline ain't working this year. So, like, yeah, the Chiefs are winning, but somebody going to catch them eventually. And it's going to be bad. I don't think the Chiefs want to see the Lions again. If that was a somehow Super Bowl matchup, the Chiefs don't want to see the Detroit Lions again. Yeah, So, when I look at this, and I say this is probably the worst thing that's happened to the Chiefs all season. So, I think somehow Mahomes doing this, Rice getting hurt when he probably should have been suspended for what he did. This is somehow a touchdown. Because they're going to manufacture a narrative as to why they're underdogs. That's why it's a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't ever fucking doubt my creative choices ever again on a rundown, you son of a bitch.
Your rundown creative choices suck. This was actually a good one, though, but the rest of them suck.
You didn't believe in this one, though. The other ones
That's
you believed in.
actually a good one.
I mean, we were talking for like.
I mean, obviously, I believed in it because I didn't catch it. I didn't move it. So obviously, I believed in it subconsciously.
You saw the vision. You just wanted to clown it. It's okay though. I'm used to that.
No, I just didn't know how to read it because it doesn't really make sense. It's like
I just made it make sense.
A tragic moment that
I just made it make sense for you.
Good because they're gonna turn around their fortune.
Remember when T.O. fucked his leg up? Remember when T.O. got his leg broke? And then the Eagles rallied around each other because, like, well, we were a team before T.O. got here.
Totally
no, they ran that narrative.
Totally different.
The players were like, yeah, we lost T.O. McNabb even said the shit. Go back.
It's like, totally different, though.
McNabb was like, yeah, we lost T.O., but we were in the NFC title game before he got here.
It's a totally different situation, though. McNabb didn't blow out T.O.'s leg.
He just kicked his back in after he got hurt.
I don't know. I think it's just
and it cost them the Super Bowl.
Honestly, I don't think it really matters because I feel like the Chiefs have been cycling through receivers and running backs.
Juju's still there.
Like nothing.
Sky Moore's still there.
Juju's back. Not still there. Back.
Well, I mean, he caught that touchdown and then just went back to obscurity.
But I mean, like, he came back.
Yeah, I know. But, like, he caught a touchdown and then he's just gone ghost since then.
But, I mean, that's how the
TikTok.
offense works. I mean, supposedly Sky Moore is going to be back on the active roster.
I don't know what the fuck Sky Moore's even doing.
Waiting for Hollywood Brown to get off the IR.
Other than modeling, I don't know what he's doing.
But, yeah.
Kareem Hunt, they got 3 running backs.
My point is they just cycle through skill guys, and it doesn't really seem to matter. I think
Andy Reid is approved.
However, I will say it's a touchdown in the fact that, like, I feel like Mahomes is gonna have to, like, question himself a little bit. Because ultimately, why are you even making that play? Other than ego. You're pissed off because you threw an interception. You're pissed off because you threw an interception. So you just go and throw your body out there like you don't care, reckless. Like, that's the number one thing we tell kids is, like, you know, be in control. Like, know what you're doing. And Pat Mahomes just recklessly threw his shoulder out there like he's not a fucking 6 whatever borderline fucking edge player. Like, he's like the size of an edge player or a tight end. So he just threw his shoulder like and just didn't expect anything to happen. Like, would he have felt bad if he would have did that to Asante Samuel? No.
He could have got a knee to the neck and been paralyzed for the rest of his life, too.
Would he have felt bad if he did that to Derwin with all the injuries Derwin had? Probably not. He probably would have sent a tweet, oh, my bad, 3, blah, blah, blah. But you don't really care. But now that you did it to someone that you need and you care about, I think maybe he's just going to have to second-guess some of his choices that may or may not affect him.
I think you got to tell your quarterback who's worth $1 billion not to ever fucking do that again.
For sure.
Like, you could have got kneed in the neck and then had your fucking cervical spine fractured and you'd never be able to play football again. All because you did that dumbass shit. That's why if my quarterback throws a pick, do not go chase that motherfucker down. You cannot tackle, bro. Unless you're the last line of defense, I don't need you running down and making it worse.
All right. Last one is, again, just an ongoing trend that's going on. So not only are the Dolphins also selling part of their franchise, but they're worth now $8 billion. And I think on the last top franchise list, they were barely in the top 10. They were like somewhere in the middle. So now they're selling to private equity firm, which was the latest rule change the NFL made a few months ago. So touchdown or turnover. Dolphins selling 10%, $800 million to basically a hedge fund.
Yeah, they'll help them find some insurance or a replacement for Tua. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is just something we're going to keep seeing in sports because really, like Mark Cuban said, the future of sports is really real estate. I mean, if you look at how Stan Kroenke's making money off SoFi, it's not
and
really,
all the other shit that his family owns.
It's not really the games.
That his wife owns.
It's not really the games. It's all the businesses around it. Because he pretty much owns that whole entertainment district. So He's getting bread off the hotel, getting bread off the retail space. And that's pretty much the model across the board, with the exception of like the Raiders that really just kind of wanted to build like a straight up football stadium and a football experience. But that's a different situation because that was a whole new market. So they kind of just had to do that. But now when the A's go there, they're going to have all that entertainment and retail space and try to get bread off of that. But if you look at all these other renderings, you know, these are all things that teams are considering because they want to capitalize on fandom outside of just the, 9 days a year they have a home game. They want to get revenue all year long. And that's why these private equity firms are buying into these teams because these teams have, this brand. And so these firms can just easily cut some money, cut some costs, find some space to cut costs, and just get gains that way. They don't really need to do anything. They're silent partners. They don't have to do anything. They just need to find optimizations and just put up capital. And that capital is what allows these teams to go out there and give these people these big-ass signing bonuses, these front-loaded contracts that you can get out of. These contracts that have, exit clauses where you can just pay people out at the end of the years. So, yeah, man, I think this private equity thing is really just going to take over private ownership in sports. And it sucks because, we talked about ownership with the Chargers and of that nature, but it's like, those faces, like, who to blame, where the buck stops. But with these private equity firms, like we've seen with newspapers and media groups and all these other things that they buy, real estate, hedge funds, all these things, they're faceless. They're nameless. They're a group of individuals with no other agenda than to maximize gains. And the easiest way for them to do that in businesses that they don't care about or have any stake or expertise in is to just find ruthless optimizations, ruthless numbers that they can cut. Where are these teams bloated? Like, that's what these private equity firms are going to do. They're going to weed out the bloat. And it may or may not be good for fans, but we just have to keep watching it.
Be good for consumers?
Well, that's what we got to find out, but probably not. I doubt they're going to just drop the prices. Prices never go down for anything.
But like, would you rather be happy that Taylor Swift and Beyonce perform at SoFi or like just no SoFi Stadium there? Like, you have a venue, if you build it, people will come. Everything else you just figure out. There's no Intuit Dome. Would there be so much hype around the Clippers? There's already been hella concerts there already. Even though it's kind of shitty.
I hear everything that you're saying, but I'm trying to understand what point you're trying to make.
We talked about real estate and venture capitalism.
No, private equity. Different.
Private equity and real estate and the future of sports. The future of making money in sports is the real estate that you own, and the product is sports.
So the difference between venture capital and private equity is venture capital, they're taking usually like a percentage of your company. Private equity, usually they're buying like a stake in your kind of organization. So they're kind of like giving you a loan and then you pay them back. And then so they get money back on the payback and they also are operating in your business. It's kind of like a lease sort of situation to where it's like
lease own.
Pretty much. And so usually there's some sort of options where they can buy more depending on how performance goes. Either it goes up or it goes down. It can depend on how it's negotiated. But usually with venture capital, it's a little bit different because it's a lot kind of more hands off, but it's also like they're trying to maximize gains by a lot. Like venture capital isn't after like 100% gains. They're after like 1,000,000% gains. Versus private equity is really just trying to cut costs and find businesses that are bloated and maximize so they can maximize the return by getting that business out of debt or out of whatever situation they're in. And then also make future money by either buying more or just being bought out. So it's like they make their money by, helping the business while they're doing it. They get money on the financing and money on the back end. So they're just trying to collect money wherever they can get it versus venture capitals is like swinging for the fences. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. This is like an unprecedented thing going on in professional sports. You got to remember, only 60 years ago, these teams were sold and bartered for, $5-10, hundreds, thousands of dollars, So where we're at now is an unprecedented time because it's not just individuals buying anymore. We saw celebrities trying to buy in, but now just these big ass groups are going to be buying in. And I mean, in every other industry where this happens, it's not good for consumers. So I can't imagine it being good for consumers in sports, but we'll see. Perfect. First up, Cam Newton got sung by Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I don't know.
So video came out. He was trying to talk to them in pregame. They're like, nah, bro, get the fuck out my face. Travis Hunter was. He avoided him. They were kind of playing around, though, but like he avoided him. And then Shedeur straight up said, hey, you be on that weird shit, bro. He said that to that man's face. I love Shedeur. He really just will say the most uncomfortable shit. He'll just get to the shits and say it to your face. I love that about Shedeur. That's a Raider right there. But he said what he said to Cam. They got off the field and then they proceeded to beat the dog shit out of UCF, which kind of shocked everybody. Dude had a pick and a touchdown. Again, Travis Hunter did. They're locked in. Like, those two guys are locked in. They got some other good players too, but it's kind of like everybody's just hating on Colorado, and it's like, bro, just say you hate Deion. But don't say that, like, the Colorado team isn't getting better. Because objectively, the team is better. People just love to, like, hate on that shit. And, of course, Deion's going to flip that to his advantage. So they're the victim and the bad guy at the same time. This shit is all wrestling, bro. This shit is all just gimmicks and narratives. Like, there are people who, like, that's why I'm like, the people who so-called call themselves journalists or people who get credentials, like that chick, Brennan, for the WNBA. They're like, she's being messy. She's getting paid to write a book about Caitlin Clark, so all her questions are Caitlin Clark questions. And then they brought up all the questions that she's asked, and they've all been about Caitlin Clark. Like, that's not journalism. That's definitely a conflict of interest, and you're getting paid to do it. So it's really unethical, and you're not being an ethical journalist. And then USA Today, I guess, like, main editor, came out and spoke on her behalf. But it's like, no, people see through the bullshit that you're playing. So, yeah, when it just comes down to it, like, hating Colorado is big money right now. People are started up whole sites and are monetizing. I mean, yeah, if you don't have any scruples and don't have any fucking character, like, sure, go for it. Like, if I didn't have any morals or character, I'd be a fucking multimillionaire right now. Probably a billionaire, and I'd be doing foul shit. But, you know, I have morals. So, like, journalistic integrity is something that's going to get lost because, like, if they lose this weekend, Colorado loses, people are going to point back to the Cam situation and they're going to try to make it something bigger than it is. Like, I don't really give a shit what Colorado does. I don't have them winning the Big 12 anyway. So, like, shit like this doesn't really bother me. But when you let here's my thing. And it's definitely a fade. I said that already. But, like, my issue with the whole Colorado situation is, for the players and Shedeur and Travis, don't start trying to, like, get big in front of like OG athletes when Deion created an environment to where those dudes could come in freely. They're only at Colorado because of Deion, not you. Remember that. You're going to go to the league, and then you're going to need their help when you get to the league. So don't be shitting on people, and don't really be careful with how you address certain cats who have been where you've been and you're trying to go there. Like, normally I'd be like, nah, the kid stood up for himself. But sometimes it's like, hey, bro, Cam Newton not the dude you need to be bucking up at.
He's actually won a title and actually played in the Super Bowl.
And
should have won an MVP.
It takes nothing to dap him up. Like, you say he's saying weird shit, bro. Like, okay, so all the white people say weird shit. My thing is, and this goes back to race, I don't like when black people check other black people, but then won't check no white motherfuckers.
I get why.
I don't like that.
I get that too, though, because I feel like
it's a lot of undertones.
I feel like Cam just be trying to be relevant sometimes, and he don't need to do all that. It's
because of those fucking hats, and he's from Atlanta,
Cam
bro.
Newton.
He's from Atlanta, though.
He doesn't need to do all that.
He a big 6'6", 250-pound man.
But it's like Cam's always saying something about somebody. It's like, bro, I get it, and like you said, right now it's a business to hate Colorado, so I can see why you want to just keep that noise out. But yeah, I don't know what kind of private conversations or private relationships they have.
Apparently they squashed it, but this is the second week in a row.
Yeah, but it seems
Richard Sherman, now Cam Newton. Who are the common denominators?
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Colts linebacker Zaire Franklin called Najee soft. Najee Harris basically, when the Steelers were running out on the field, he pretty much flipped off the jumbotron. Zaire took a picture, threw it on Twitter, and was like, dude, soft. They asked Franklin about it, and he's like, I don't really have anything against him personally. Just, he flipped off my city, and I feel like that's some soft shit. And then on top of that, to come out and have, 19 rushing yards on 13 carries, and the fact that the last 3 times we played him, we shut him down, and he quit on his team, he's soft.
That's crazy to say that to the all-time leading rusher in Alabama history and a Bay Area legend. But Zaire Franklin also said some really stupid shit on Joe Budden's podcast, so I don't really take what he has to say credibly. He said some really dumb shit.
Fair enough.
I can't remember it. Said some blasphemous shit that would have you go on a 20-minute tirade on him.
I think 2 things can be true. I think this was definitely some soft-ass
Steelers ain't ran the ball good in 4 years.
But I also wouldn't say Najee Harris is soft because he's not soft.
I'm never calling nobody from who made it out the Bay Area soft. You're a different kind of human being when you make it out the Bay. And I'm not just saying that because I made it out of East Oakland.
All right, Antonio Pierce won't be coaching in college. He got an 8-year
show cause.
That's
interesting. What did Urban Meyer get?
I think he got 8 years. I think he only
Jim Tressel didn't even get 8 years. I'm just saying, we pick who we want to penalize.
Well, John Harbaugh got 6, right?
I don't know what Harbaugh got.
I think John Harbaugh got 6.
But that was justified. I mean, yeah, he was allegedly taking kids to strip clubs, but I mean, it was COVID. It's a wild fucking time. We all did shit during COVID. We're not gonna ever talk about again. Right? Who knows? There's a podcast for everything.
I think it's fake because he might be looking for a college job soon.
I think it's fake because you only targeted him and nobody else on that staff.
I mean, that's true, but also I think he'd be a great college coach.
I think
if he was actually given a real shot, not hand-me-down team taking it over. We've seen him do 2 hand-me-downs twice.
Mountain West team,
and he's been solid. So
a Mountain West team.
I think whatever, a Mountain West or a Pac-12 team. But whatever, just give him a team.
I think if you put him at Fresno State,
some resources.
But my thing is, I think he's better suited to be a college coach. And just came at a really bad time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I was agreeing with you because it's yeah.
All right, so we talked a little bit about it earlier, but basically, Dan Campbell had no idea that Jared Goff threw a perfect game. So he gave the game ball to, who did you say?
Safety Kirby Joseph, who had the game-sealing interception, and wide receiver Jameson Williams, who had a 70-yard touchdown catch. He caught that shit.
Even though Amon-Ra threw and caught a touchdown,
he threw the Amon-Ra.
He got too many game balls. You can't.
Jameson Williams has actually progressed greatly as a receiver.
I feel like Jameson Williams could have got the one in week 1 because he had a great game that day
but
too.
That 80-yard touchdown broke the game open. They never looked back after that, really, once he got that 80-yard touchdown catch.
So, as a coach,
and then Jared Goff with 18 for 294 yards and caught a touchdown, and then yeeted that shit into the fucking stands. He didn't even keep the ball; he just threw it. Jared Goff's a real one, man.
So, what would be your hierarchy of values for giving out a game ball? Is it novelty? Is it consistency? Or is it explosiveness? Because I feel like those are the 3 things we just described. On one hand, Jared Goff had the novelty.
Jared Goff.
On the other hand, Amon-Ra had the consistency. And on the other hand, Jameson Williams made the game-changing play. So, what do you think is more important in recognizing with the game ball?
I'm giving it to Jameson and Kirby. I think those two got.
So you think just the biggest moment?
I would have gave out 3 game balls.
The biggest moment.
If it was me, I would have given out 3 game balls.
But I'm just saying, in general, for a game ball, you think the biggest moment is kind of what should be recognized?
Not always, but sometimes a player who had a moment that was the biggest moment of their career, you need to put that on a pedestal and hype that person's confidence up. They need that more than Jared Goff needs a game ball. He has a ton of game balls.
Fair enough.
The O-line could have got a game ball. Your quarterback with 18 of 18. You blocked and didn't give up. I think they maybe gave up a sack, but like he went 18 for 18, bro. You know how hard it is to go 18 for 18?
All right. Lakers coach JJ called out a reporter for, quote, creating narratives.
Because he asked about Richu Hamara or whatever fucking
Rui.
Whatever fucking Demon Slayer character name he got.
That was kind of racist, but go ahead.
No, it's not. It's kind of actually funny because I think he likes Demon Slayer.
It was funny, but it was also racist.
But you kind of got to admit it was a little bit funny.
I'm not saying it's not funny.
Sometimes sometimes you know it's funny, you know it's a joke, even though it's also racist.
All right, my computer's gonna die. My charger's not working right now, so we need to speed through this.
Typical.
Say whatever you're gonna fucking say.
Okay, damn, I'm not John Mayer. Relax. When it comes down to it, I know you listen to John Mayer. When it comes down to it, shit, I forgot my point. What's the question again?
JJ Reddick calling out reporters for building.
I'm already subconsciously making myself forget Lakers talking points.
Yeah,
he's talking about like JJ pretty much was like, that's your narrative that you're running with. You think he needs to keep progressing. I think he needs to play a part in us winning. That's his role. Versus like, oh, what does he need to get better at? But I think as a player, a former player, and now a current coach, yeah, he's going to be doing that a lot more with the media, and somebody going to get his ass. Somebody's going to get him during the season. Like, hey, hold on, JJ. I know you've only been a coach for 22 games, but bro, you've never actually won anything. Not a championship. You didn't win at Duke, and you didn't win in the NBA.
I think the biggest thing
maybe calm the fuck down with your attitude.
The biggest thing is,
never forget, JJ Reddick never won at Duke.
The biggest thing is
never won a title at Duke.
The biggest thing with this is like, JJ Reddick, you wanted this job. You went on the air and talked and advocated for this job. Like, you did a whole PR campaign to get this job. You got the job. This is what comes with the job. You are on arguably one of the greatest franchises in all of professional sports. You are the figurehead of that. You are in the entertainment capital of the world, the second biggest media market. Like, if you can't handle these sort of questions on day 0, media day, day 1, training camp, then yeah, how are you going to handle them if you're 10-10 and game 22, like Kenny said? How? Because those questions are only going to get louder. You know, not only do you have a rabid Lakers base that's going to analyze and critique every single rotational change you make in those 20 games, but you have a really smart media atmosphere that has been covering this team for, some of these reporters have been covering this team for as long as you've been playing basketball, for as long as you've been alive. So best believe, like, if you come at Broderick Turner like that, like, streets are going to be after you. Like, people fuck with some of these Laker reporters more than they fuck with this carousel of head coaches the Lakers have had over this past decade. Because guess what? Everyone loved Darvin Ham. And you saw how those tides turned. And he had that team which had no business in the Western Conference Finals Frank Vogel, beloved in NBA circles. Jason Kidd was banging the table to get that manager on his staff. One of the most well-respected coaches in all of NBA as far as his peers. Won a championship with the team on a team that really, outside of the emotional, you know, everything that was going on, really shouldn't have won that year. And guess what? Fired a year later. So JJ Reddick, if you think this sort of snarky attitude that you have, this, you know, fucking whiz kid, fucking Malcolm in the Middle, I know everything fucking persona that you're building as a head coach is going to work, it's not. Because I've been in those locker rooms and that snark is only going to get louder. Because guess what? It's not just these reporters. These reporters represent the thousands of fans out there that have been watching basketball for 40 years. As long as you've been alive. Shit. My grandma is not a fucking hooper, but she watched Lakers basketball, even if she fell asleep on it. She would tell you some shit, JJ Reddick. And don't fucking run into my fucking dad on the elevator, because he will talk your fucking ear off about your shitty rotations. And that's going to be anywhere you go in this fucking city. Because that's what you are. You're the Lakers head coach. That comes with the fucking job.
Life is unfair.
I mean, is that not his attitude, though? Like, I feel like that's his attitude he's giving is like...
A cross between Malcolm and Reese?
It's like that whole, like, I did your job and I'm doing this job. Like, I could do both jobs better than you can do anything.
I know more about basketball than you.
Yeah. So
do you know like, about winning in the clutch, bitch? No, you don't. You've never won anything.
It's like, bro, you only got this job because LeBron is glazing you. And if you play Bronny and he sucked,
you're a white man in America. Even if you have no fucking qualifications, you always get the job somehow.
All right, go ahead, Brent.
To my mom, she's back after spending like the last month in Oakland, take care of my grandma and her sisters. So to my nephew, he's getting bigger every day. I'm excited. I got free tickets to go to the Raiders game on the 20th against the Rams. It's gonna be lit. Hopefully, I run into some people I went to high school with, just to be like, "Hey, what's up? How you living? You good?" Yeah, man. I've been doing a lot of, you know, deep thinking and self-analysis and honestly some judgment on some things I need to definitely get better at as of late. But I feel like this is probably the most balance I've had in my life. So it's kind of cool. I told Pete earlier, it's like, you don't really know how to handle abundance until you know how to handle, like, having a balanced life. Because once you get what you want, you know what you're going to do with it, and then what? But if you can, like, find some happiness and stability with just things being balanced, even if it's not exactly lined up the way you want, I think that kind of helps you because I saw a line somewhere that said the only reason why you want something so bad is because future you already has it and is counting on you to see it through. I was like, damn, that's kind of a bar. But anyway, peace and love to all y'all. Stay safe. Avoid stupid shit. And I hope you learned something tonight.
Man, I'm tired as fuck. I've been up since 6 a.m. Had a big day with work. I've got a big week just professionally overall.
Happy birthday to your fucking brother.
Happy birthday to my brother. Had dinner with him last night. And then outside of that, I mean, I was supposed to go to Vegas this week, but I bailed at the last minute because I thought the Raiders were going to lose, and they won in true karma. So, yeah, I guess I should just do that every week, and maybe they'll actually have a chance. Because Lord knows I would have went and they probably would have lost, and then I would have just been sad and broke. But yeah, either way, they won. I'm still sad and slightly less broke. All right, well, this is Touchdowns and Tangents, TDs_tangents on Twitter and Instagram, touchdownsandtangents.com. Everywhere on your favorite podcast apps. We're out. Peace.
Fuck Bank of America for what they did. And yeah, every time you go to a Raiders game, they lose.
No, they won in Oakland.
Every time the Las Vegas Raiders have a game and you go to it, they lose.
It's only 4 years, but yeah.
Also,